So, this is it, the grand finale of the early 2000s Disney Marathon. And you'll be pleased to know that we've saved the absolute worst for last. Home on the Range was directed by Will Finn and John Sanford, and this is another movie with a history of a rocky production, mainly due to the story constantly changing. Disney became interested in the idea of a Western movie sometime in the late 90s, although back then the movie was known as Sweatin' Bullets, a ghost story about a young boy who has to face off against a cattle rustler. But over the years, it eventually developed into a story about a young bull, and finally 3 cows, with the title switching to Home on the Range. It even ended up switching release dates with Brother Bear, getting delayed from 2003 to 2004. But with all that extra development time, I'm sure they settled on a fantastic idea for a story.
It's like Charlie's Angels with cows.
Yeah, from the trailers, this didn't exactly look like the image of a classic Disney movie, with the posters having quirky taglines like "Bust a Move." What, like Bust a Move? The movie flopped big time at the box office. In the UK, it opened at an embarrassing number 10 in August 2004, grossing just a pathetic 1.4 million. That's over 5 million less than Treasure Planet, by the way, so who's the failure now? Ultimately, Home on the Range only ended up playing in UK cinemas for a single month, which begs one very important question. How did I end up seeing this twice on the big screen? Yeah, I'm not making this up. I saw this movie 2 times in the cinema. I even still have one of the tickets. And who would spend this much money to see a movie like this? Well, the truth is that I ended up seeing this movie largely by accident. At the time, my school had a weird arrangement with our local cinema, where we would test out their fire alarm for them. They'd sit us down in the cinema, sound the fire alarm, we'd all have to walk out and line up outside, and then we go back in and they show us a movie for free. Now, that sounds like a good deal, but when we got to see Home on the Range 2 weeks before it came out, it scarred me for life. And even worse, during the summer holidays, I had to watch this movie again with my parents. I tried to warn them that I'd already seen it, but they didn't believe me, and they ended up dragging me to see it a second time. We still don't talk to each other. Well, after more than 20 years, it's time to face this movie again on home video. This one's a rental copy, because I don't care how long it's been. As soon as we're done here, I'm taking this straight back to Blockbuster. So saddle up, and get ready for our final showdown of the marathon. One more logo variation for the road, and what a perfect metaphor, watching 2D animation burning up before our eyes. So we begin in the Wild West, which you'd think would be an amazing setting for a Disney story, and there's so much material to be mined there with cowboys, shootouts, and all kinds of cool things. So, who is our main character in this epic adventure?
That's me. I'm the cow.
A cow. Our main character is a cow. This is Maggie, voiced by Roseanne Barr, a sassy cow with attitude.
Yeah, they're real. Quit staring.
Is it too late to get my money back? Maggie once lived on a farm, but when a mysterious villain rolled in and stole all of the cows, the farmer had to sell up and give her away to a new farm. A farm where everyone is happy and nothing bad ever happens to any of the animals, which means they clearly didn't watch Rover Dangerfield.
A dairy farm? Now we're talking!
Just to convince you how great this place is, we even get a chirpy song.
Everything's green, know what I mean? Darling, it's quite the sweetest sight that you ever done seen.
Shockingly, the music for this movie was done by Alan Menken, who composed some of the all-time Disney greats in the 90s. But he must have been half asleep or something when he did the music for this movie. It's like the Phil Collins stuff last time. I'm not even sure whether there are songs in the movie. Even the look of this movie is half-baked. You know how Treasure Planet had a sky-high budget, and every penny of it was splashed all over the screen in gorgeous detail? Well, this is the opposite. Somehow, this movie cost $110 million to make, and none of it shows on screen. Where did all the money go? Everything looks all cutesy and babyish. Some of the direct-to-video Disney sequels look better than this. It's just baffling. So Maggie arrives on the farm, and wow, can't you tell this movie came out in 2004?
Now don't everybody speak at one time. What is this, the frozen food section?
Maggie's personality clashes with some of the other animals, like Mrs. Calloway, a stuck-up cow voiced by Judi Dench.
No applause and trophies here, I'm afraid. Just the fruits of our good, honest labour.
Yes, there's a movie where Judi Dench voices a cow. I can't unsee it either. There's also another cow called Grace, voiced by Jennifer Tilly, who's the only character in this movie that I'll give a free pass because, well, it's Jennifer Tilly. I could listen to that woman read a pizza delivery menu.
This is an organic problem, and there's a holistic solution.
Now, to be fair, it seems like they were trying to go down the comedy route with this movie, and that's fine. It worked really well in The Emperor's New Groove, so I'm sure they put all their efforts into making this movie as witty and funny as possible.
That's not funny.
So, even though Maggie has only just arrived, the local sheriff brings some bad news and tells the owner that the bank is going to auction off her farm, leaving them all without a home.
I'm truly sorry.
Well, at least it was a short film. No, sadly the movie continues, and the three cows decide to go into town and see if they can ask the sheriff for more time to save the farm. Though how they would be able to ask him anything when no one can understand them is really beyond me.
How do we find the sheriff's office when we get into town?
Elementary, my dear Grace.
Also, it's interesting how we have 3 female leads here. Maybe this was Disney's attempt to do a chick flick? They already did it better. In town, they run into a cocky horse called Buck, voiced by Oscar-winning actor Cuba Gooding Jr., and I'm pleased to say they made such good use of his talents.
Hey, jump back, kiss me still.
This movie gives 2004 a bad name.
All the other horses are out there fighting bad guys and taking names.
You know, they actually made a game out of this guy, and that's a pretty brave move when you consider that no one saw this movie.
Riding with Rico, cleaning up the West.
Buck dreams of being a hero just like his favorite cowboy Rico, a bounty hunter looking for a wanted outlaw called Alameda Slim, who looks suspiciously like the man buying up all the cattle ranches that are closing down.
Pleasure doing business with you.
He seems perfectly innocent to me. But when Maggie realizes that they can use the reward money to save the farm, the cows decide to hunt down Slim themselves.
Oh, that is a sensible idea.
I knew you'd love it!
And that's pretty much all this movie is, just these cows bumbling from place to place looking for the bad guy. There's not even much to say about the plot because there isn't one. Most of the scenes just go on and on to pad out the runtime. This is the Wild West, and you're making it so boring. The comedy doesn't help either. I mean, come on, how do you make Jennifer Tilly sound bad? I didn't even think that was possible. And some of the characters they run into just have problems.
We can help you. Maybe we can help each other.
This movie disturbs me. As the cows settle in for the night, Slim finally makes his appearance. And in the tradition of all great Disney villains, he even has his own theme song.
The sweetest way of rustling yet devised. Why, looky how them cows get hypnotized.
Yes, nothing says creepy and intimidating like yodeling. Yodeling in a sparkly outfit with bright fluffy colours everywhere. Such a threatening bad guy. This might be one of the worst villain songs ever. Songs like this are supposed to give us an insight into their twisted motivations, but we don't learn anything about this guy. All we know is that he's a bad guy and he yodels. Like, what?
Smack my big old rump if that ain't hard.
Like, I don't even understand this. Slim has the power to hypnotize cows just by yodeling, but how is that supposed to work? Does that mean if I started yodeling, I could just make you all like and subscribe? The way YouTube's going might be worth a try someday.
I got cattle out the old wazoo.
But since Grace is tone deaf, Slim's powers don't work on her, and she rescues Maggie and Mrs. Calloway while he makes off with the other cows.
That didn't sound like singing to me. And, you know, I have perfect pitch.
They end up running into Buck again, who's looking to find Slim himself, so he can prove to his hero Rico that he's got what it takes to be his trusty horse.
Slim is mine! It's hero time!
Ben 10 called, he wants his catchphrase back. Eventually we get to learn a bit more about Slim, who uses an abandoned mine as his lair, and he has to put up with 3 boneheads who engage in some truly painful comedy. Literally, Slim's evil plan is to buy up all the cattle farms in the land because, get this, when he worked there, they didn't appreciate his singing.
My singing? I yodel, and yodeling is an art!
Yes, that's our complex motivation.
Brainless monotone monkeys.
Ugh, John Silver would have this guy for breakfast. You know, when I saw this with my parents, I remember my dad saying that Slim was his favorite character, and I still haven't forgiven him.
When you're talking revenge, every last acre counts.
Meanwhile, the cows get stranded in the middle of a rainstorm. Mrs. Calloway gets fed up with their search and takes it out on Maggie.
You, Maggie, are the biggest catastrophe to ever hit.
Maybe we should just go our separate ways.
Fine.
Fine!
It's just like Brother Bear, only even less likable, and that's pretty impressive. Now it's time for a slow, depressing song, because this movie has exactly the right tone for music like this.
Will the sun ever shine again?
Maybe I'd find this emotional if I actually cared about any of the characters. Even Alan Menken didn't seem sure about it.
This song is, I don't know why, it just makes me want to cry.
I think it was the movie making you cry, not the song.
Once you collect the reward, I'll walk out your front gate and I'll stay out of it forever.
Deal.
Of course the cows make up, and they run into this rabbit called Lucky Jack, and that's some luck to end up in this movie. And for some reason he has a peg leg, because he took a wrong turn at Treasure Planet?
We need closure.
Well, I can sympathize here, sister, I truly can. Until recently, I too had a home.
Jack reveals that Slim kicked him and his fellow rabbits out of his home at the mine, and the cows set off to find him. Now, this is where the movie gets really weird, because apparently one villain wasn't enough, and Steve Buscemi turns up as this tiny businessman called Mr. Wesley. The guy even looks like him.
You gotta move on and load these cash cows onto the train ASAP, huh?
Like, I don't understand. Why is he in this movie? He already did one great bad guy for Disney. This is just a waste of his genius.
I gave up clown college for this?
The cows make their way into the mine, and Grace plugs their ears so they won't be affected by Slim's hypnotic yodeling powers. Ugh, I can't believe I just said that.
Where do you think you're going?
The cows capture Slim, and they get into a wacky minecart chase with some really ropey CG integration. You know how that stuff worked really well in Treasure Planet? Well, it doesn't here. It's more like they're riding through an old Windows PC game. They end up crashing, and Slim escapes, allowing him to tie up the cows. That cowboy Rico finally arrives to catch Slim, but it turns out that he's been working with him this whole entire time, and Buck is heartbroken.
You're too kind, boss.
No, it can't be.
You know, all of a sudden, this is turning into the Tom and Jerry movie again. All the villains are really bizarre, nothing makes sense, and the climax is absolute insanity. Except unlike that movie, there's no fun whatsoever here. Now that Buck realizes his hero is a zero, he decides to help the cows escape, and they work together to beat up the bad guys.
Mother of mercy, is this the end of...
Classic animation? Yes, I'm afraid so.
This train goes right by Patch of Heaven. We caught Slim once, and we shall do it again.
With the bad guys defeated, the cows take the train back to the farm, just as Slim is about to win the auction. Well done, girls, you've saved the farm by completely destroying it.
Hold it right there!
Just as Slim finally does something threatening, the farmyard animals attack. I actually can't believe there's a Disney movie where the big villain gets overpowered by a bunch of chicks. Slim gets trapped, but he tries to weasel his way out of trouble by yodeling one last time. But Grace pulls off an edgy 2004 kung fu kick and shuts him up for good.
You're under arrest.
I'd like to personally thank Jennifer Tilly for being the true hero of this movie. I thought he'd never shut up.
Woo! My farm is saved!
Slim gets sent to jail, but it looks like Maggie has already left the farm.
I'm gonna miss her.
So shall I, Grace.
I suppose this is the time to have a big emotional scene where they go after her and try to convince her to stay. But nope, it turns out she's been there the whole time. Because who cares about drama in a movie like this?
Is this barnyard big enough for the both of us?
Only if you let me wear the hat.
The farm is saved, everything is perfect, and a Disney tradition is officially dead. I hope you're happy, girls. So that was Home on the Range, and I am displeased by it. What a dire way to end the marathon, and what a tragic end to a long-standing Disney legacy. If Disney was just looking for an excuse to move to CG features from this point, well, this was it. An unfunny, uninspired, unintelligible mess of a movie. It doesn't even feel like a Disney movie. It barely even qualifies as a movie. Not counting the credits, it's only 69 minutes, so what was even the point of making it? In fact, I actually found a lost interview with one of the directors, and this is what he had to say.
Why would you make such a film?
By accident?
No wonder I didn't want to see this movie a second time. There's just nothing to offer here, and it was the final nail in the coffin for theatrical 2D features, with Disney switching to CG for their next movie, Chicken Little. I'm sure that worked out great for them. As for traditional animation by Disney, aside from a couple of passion projects like The Princess and the Frog in 2009 and Winnie the Pooh in 2011, the early trend of getting a classic hand-drawn movie has long since faded away into obscurity. Even when The Princess and the Frog came out, it felt like such a long time since the last 2D feature, but now it feels like an eternity. Maybe someday it will come back into fashion, but for now, it remains a relic of history. Well, that brings us to the end of this marathon, and it's a bittersweet note to end on, especially when you consider how much potential there was in many of these movies. A little bit of experimenting can be healthy, and on the whole, I'd say it paid off in the early 2000s. Maybe not at the box office, but so many years have passed since then, the numbers don't really matter anymore. What does matter is how you feel about the movies themselves. The Emperor's New Groove had a lot to offer with its quirky sense of humour, and Atlantis had some truly fascinating world building. Lilo and Stitch gave us a long-lasting commercial success, and my personal favourite, Treasure Planet, gave us an epic cult following. It's only at the end that the quality really started to crash. Brother Bear didn't work, and Home on the Range was just a disaster. If you chart these movies on a graph, the difference is staggering. To me, it's not even fair that Treasure Planet gets lumped in with movies like this. Arguably, I'd say it was ahead of its time, and so was Lilo and Stitch. Out of all the movies from that period, those two seem to endure more than anything else, and I'm glad that some of these other hidden gems have seen a resurgence over time as well. Disney's most classic tradition might not be around anymore, but for those who love it, the memories will live on forever. Thank you for watching the Disney Marathon, and look out for more reviews coming soon.